Welcome back, Charleston, as the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues right here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. If at any point in time you'd like to reach out to me, you have some questions about the housing market, you're thinking of buying, selling, investing, you've got a property you want to have rented, or maybe you're thinking of selling real estate as a career, I invite you to give me a call or text me. It's my direct line, 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or, of course, you can check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. So we were talking about the state of the market. We've been talking about what's going on nationally. Second worst July on record with regard to home prices. Even though it dropped 0.77%, it's really such a minuscule amount in the grand scheme of things, considering how far we've come and how much equity we've built as a nation over the course of the past several years. But second worst July on record is nothing to I think turn away from, because I think it's evidence of what's to come to an extent. We're already seeing prices on the West Coast going down 5-10%. We're still up. We're still doing well, but I do want to focus for just a moment on some of these telltale signs that show that we are in fact in a shifting market. So we've been talking about affordability, which is the driving force for doing or not doing something for a lot of people. It's what's caused a lot of people to simply be priced out of the market. They just can't afford it. It just does not make sense. It makes more sense for them to rent, even though they know that long term that's not a viable strategy to build wealth. But as of last month, there were about 2,900 homes for sale in the Charleston MLS. And this time last year, just for a frame of reference, we had about 2,400. But we dipped down below 1,000 homes for sale, luckily, in the first part of this year. And we stayed at or around that number for kind of longer than we expected. I remember seeing active listings in our area being in the 500-ish range, especially when you removed all of the proposed construction listings that were out there, which is really nothing more than someone has a vacant piece of land, and rather than just marketing the land, they'll link up with the builder and say, hey, I can put this home on this lot. Let's combine the cost of the lot plus the cost to build this house and create another listing. It's another way of marketing a vacant piece of land. And maybe a builder gets a cut of it as well. It's a creative way of marketing, but it does sometimes skew our stats. So even though we're still technically in a seller's market locally, the rate by which new listings are hitting the market in comparison to the rate that we are putting them under contract is in fact shifting the market to a more normal, balanced market. So I mean, if you look at pending sales, right? The homes that are going under contract. We've seen pretty significant declines over the past 12 months, which with each month being kind of worse than that same month in the previous year. In other words, pending sales have been like 5 to 15% lower than the same time the year before. But last month, July, was by far the worst month we've had. Comparatively, I mean, pending sales locally were down 23% compared to July of last year. It was about 500 less homes that we put under contract compared to July of 2021. Same trend with closings. I mean, we've been comparatively worse every month this year compared to the number of closings in the same month of the prior year. And if you think about it, frankly, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. Not only did we have lower interest rates, better affordability, lower prices, more buyers, even though the competition was crazy, we also have to remember that we were kind of we were catching the tail end of this great reshuffling of society. I mean, all of these people got orders to, or they got permission to work from home, which means they can work from wherever, which means they're going to leave that place that they do not enjoy living in, or that house that they do not enjoy living in, and they're going to find something that works better for them. Not just from a geographical perspective, but a lot of people that spent a lot more time in their home than they really ever had realize, this is not for me. We need different space, better space, more space, And so it caused a lot of people to go ahead and make the move. Maybe they would have moved anyways over the course of the next few years. And with COVID and with everything that happened post-COVID, it really just kind of accelerated a lot of plans. And so where do we go from here? Given the fact that, we've been talking for months on this program about there being changes in the market. We've talked about the rate by which new listings were hitting the market. We've talked about the number of showings that are declining in our market. We're talking about the fact that there are less multiple offers on our listings. There are all these telltale signs. And even before that, we're seeing, online traffic being a little bit lower on our properties. There are just less people looking. In fact, if you look up the search results for real estate-based keyword searches in Google as kind of like an experiment on overall international demand for real estate, the number of times the words real estate or keywords associated with real estate have been searched is down like 30-something%. So we're seeing some waning in demand. In the grand scheme of things, it's healthy, right? We can't have double-digit appreciation every year. No one will be able to buy a house at some point, right? So where do we go from here? If you're a seller, let's just talk a little bit about some expectations that I think you need to have with your agent, with the process, with the market. So I think the first thing is, your agent really has to be able to articulate current market conditions that are relevant to you, right? We can get all hopped up on the fact that, oh yeah, second worst July in history. I mean, that's a headliner, that's a buzzword. What does that mean for you? How does that impact you on your street, in your home, in your neighborhood, in your area, in your price range? That's what we have to do when we're analyzing real estate data and trends to determine and suggest, hey, if you want to sell your home for the most money possible, this is where I would suggest pricing your home. Or, hey, if you need to sell your home right now, then this is where you can price it without feeling like you're giving it away. This is just the price for a quick sale, not necessarily a fire sale. If anybody out there has a fire sale, if they've got to sell it like this week, otherwise they are in serious trouble, give me a call. I have people left, right, and center that will buy that house, myself included. But that's not usually what the seller's goal is. They at least have a little bit of time to get a more reasonable number for the sale of their house. And so if you're working with a real estate agent, especially in this market that's shifting, that real estate agent is going to have skill sets that most agents frankly haven't needed over the past few years. And we talked about this on this program. But I think that the agent really needs to be able to articulate current market conditions that are relevant to you. What are your average days on market? What are the number of expected showings that you should receive within that time frame? In other words, where are our benchmarks? Where are the targets that we're shooting for? If we don't have any, then we're just going to be operating mostly, quite frankly, off of emotion. It feels like buyers aren't interested. It feels like you're not doing your job, Mr. and Mrs. Agent. It feels like you're not giving my home the attention it needs. Those might all be true and valid points, but what I'm saying is we need to have some very clear expectations with regard to what we should be producing in the form of online traffic, showings, and offers to then help us feel and tell us that, hey, we're where we're supposed to be. All of this data is trackable. We know, based on whatever listing we put on the market, as part of our research, we should be getting X number of showings per month. Or if the average days on market in your area is 10 days, and the average number of showings per month is 10, well then that really means we need 10 showings in the first 10 days. We need a showing a day. So we start looking at this data, we start manipulating it based on the area and the price range that the home we're going to be selling is in, and then that gives us some realistic targets to shoot at. We should also know what the difference is between the original listing price and then the ultimate sales price. For very, very long now, it seems, that has been 100% or higher. Multiple offer situations, homes selling for more than they're listed for. That will be one of the first things, if not already, that has changed in our market. I think that agent also really needs to give you a good overview of what has recently sold, which is an indication of recent proven value for similar properties. They also need to be looking at the pending sales to develop a trend. And then we need to look at active listings to assess the competition. So the agent really needs to spend some time with you on articulating what's happening in the market and then doing a deep dive with you on comparables, because I think pricing is really important right now. Stick around, because I've got a few more of these tips if you're going to sell your home that I think you need to know based on this shift in the market. And then, of course, we're going to talk to buyers as well. We're going to give you some tips and tricks and strategies to get out there and use some of this to your advantage. Use some of this leverage, this maybe even temporary leverage that we have, to try and get a better deal, or maybe get some better terms, or maybe just not feel like you have to give away the farm just to buy a house. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show right here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. Remember, if you want to reach out to me and ask me a real estate question, you're thinking of hiring a real estate company to help you buy, sell, invest, or rent your property, then give me a call, 843-800-0065, 800-0065, and again, listingsincharleston.com. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back.